Welcome back. Now, my name is Ted Thomas, and I've been involved in business for well over 30 years. Now, the business I'm involved in is a subset of real estate. So in today's episode, we're going to discuss a very interesting subject for newcomers. And that question is, what questions do entrepreneurs ask? Well, they should ask a lot of questions if they want to be successful. Now, according to the Small Business Administration, over 500,000 businesses are started in the United States every year. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those businesses will fail, and I have a few remarks about that a little later on. But a lot of them fail. Now, the people that are successful, they're usually successful for a reason. They know a lot more, they work a lot harder, and they probably started the right kind of business. So what questions should you be asking, and what research should you be doing? Rather than launching a project and praying that it's going to do well, I'm going to suggest you do a lot of research and do a lot of planning. Now, all the prayer in the world is probably not going to do you any good. Why? Because prayer is not a good business strategy. Research is a good business strategy. Now, it sounds easy because everybody wants to write stories about how these guys made billions, not millions, but billions of dollars. Here's a few suggestions, and I'm going to tell you right now, most businesses are going to fail. If you're not going to fail, it's going to be because you did something a lot different. All right, now, business isn't just watching a couple of YouTube videos. Business is really going to be a job that requires a lot of determination, a lot of hard work. Okay, how are you going to learn this? Well, the challenge really is you don't know what you don't know. So if you can start out with that attitude that you don't know what you don't know, then you're probably going to become a pretty good entrepreneur. So what's the definition of an entrepreneur? Now, mine's going to be a little bit different than Wikipedia, but let's kind of work our way through this so that you really understand what an entrepreneur really is. Now, most of them are self-starters. If you have to be told everything to do, you're not going to be a good entrepreneur. But if you're excited, you're enthusiastic, you're willing to work hard, and you're determined, you can be an entrepreneur. I didn't say it was easy, and you'll see this as I go through videos. I don't sugarcoat it because I don't want you to think it's that story of who the billionaire is. You hear that story 20 years after a lot of iterations happened to that business. All right, so full-time business is a full-time job. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, the first thing you have to do is start thinking about how much money you're going to have to put away so you can anticipate the financial risks that are going to take place, because no one is going to help you out. You're going to have to do it on your own. So if you want to be successful, you're going to have perseverance, tenacity, and a lot of creativity. Now, what kind of person is an entrepreneur? Entrepreneur is probably a person that's willing to solve a lot of problems, not only their own problems, but other people's problems. So, lesson number one, step number one, don't quit your job. A startup business has a lot of major risks. You're going to need income, and if you haven't thought about how you can generate income, you better not have quit your job. So lesson number one, step number one is don't quit your job. Step number two is reread and re-listen to step number one. Don't quit your job. Make sure you have revenue. Why? Because how is your business going to generate revenue? You're going to have to ask a lot of questions. Now, I've worked in business. I work in a business today that's over 200 years old. But for the first part of my life, I just walked right by it and didn't even see it. But 30 years ago when I discovered it, I learned I could buy low and sell high. And guess what? I could make a lot of money. So it was a business that I could make money on, but it was little known, but it's been available for over 200 years. Now, I'll be back and give you some more details about what questions you should be asking as an entrepreneur. Okay, now I'm back. We're going to talk about starting a business, which is a tough project. It's not going to be easy. Number one priority is always going to be how you're going to generate revenue. So I manage a business for the last 30 years from a small office from my home. Now, just because it's a small office doesn't mean it has to be a small business revenue-wise or people-wise or growth-wise. So a small business can be run from a small office and you can make giant revenue if you pick the right one. But you need to know where your revenue is going to come from. Then you need to know what products you're going to be involved in. So what products do you like? I don't know. Are you going to have a product you're going to sell, or are you going to sell a service? Either one, it's going to be up to you. But you're going to have to ask a lot of questions. All right, who are you going to ask these questions of? I can tell you right now, your friends are more than happy to tell you a lot of business advice. Your family, which you can't get away from, they're going to give you a lot of business advice, yet they might never have been in business. All right, so I'm going to tell you right now, you can't get rid of the family, you can't get rid of the friends. They really care about you, and so they love you and want to be kind to you. They don't want you to fail, but I don't think you're going to get very good business advice from a family that's not in business or from your friends. Your friends want you to stay the same. They like you the way you are. Your family just doesn't want you to fail. You need to find experienced people to help you, and you need to ask a lot of questions. Entering business because, number one, you want to be rich, or number two, you want to be famous. I'm going to disillusion. I want to make sure you're not going to be disillusioned. All right, it's going to be hard to be rich, and it's going to be even harder to be famous because it takes years for these people to build these businesses. So I don't want you to be determined that you're going to be rich in a year or you're going to be able to sit back. It's not going to happen. You're going to need to be determined. You're going to have a great work ethic, but you're going to have to ask a lot of questions, and you need to ask questions of people that already have experience. Your family and friends, they haven't been a lot of years in business, not much of a help. So more than likely, what you need to do is find people that are in business, ask them for advice, ask their questions of them, and listen and write down what they tell you. All right, so what kind of business do you want to be in? Do you want to be in a product business, or do you want to be in a service business? All right, either one, there's plenty of people to ask questions of, and people are willing to help you. Why are they willing to help you? People want to have more of everything. What does that mean? We want to have more businesses. We want to have more people involved. All right, what you need to do is figure out, what are you going to do to solve other people's problems? Successful entrepreneurs always solve a problem. Now, they either do that with a product or they're going to do that with a service, but you're going to have to solve problems. Otherwise, people aren't going to pay for your advice and not going to pay for your product. So people will pay if you can solve a problem. All right, so what problems can you solve? Can you do whatever it is cheaper? Can you do it faster? Can you do it in a better way? Are you a lot more innovative? Will it be easier for the people to work with? You need to figure out why you're going to be able to solve the problem, and can you do it quicker? Now, other businesses are already there, so look what other businesses are doing. Maybe you can combine two businesses and figure out what both of them are doing, and then make one business that'll be more efficient than both of them. Who is your target client? If you don't know who the client is, and you don't know what problem you're going to solve, you're not going to be in business very long. Everybody thinks that they can solve problems. You need to find out if you really can. You might want to test some of those things on your family and your friends. All right, the product you create must be in demand. So that means you better figure out who wants the product. That's going to be your target market. All right, customers don't just show up. You're going to have to go find them. That means, how are you going to go find those people? Keep in mind, revenue is always number one. Now, sales and marketing are probably going to be right behind that, but most people don't even think about sales and marketing. They think about creating a problem, or they think about creating a service. All right, what do your clients want? I don't know what they want, but first of all, you have to find out what they want and who they are. If you don't know what they want and who they are, what are you going to make? Well, if you look at other businesses, nothing wrong with that. Don't copy them exactly. Figure out how you can do it faster. Figure out how you can be more innovative. Think about how yours could be a lot cheaper, and then you're going to be able to be in the market. All right. Now, your friends and relatives can't help you with this because they're not thinking about taking care of other people. They're not thinking about solving problems. So you need to be a problem solver. Your product needs to be a problem-solving product. All right, so what's the biggest problem for most newcomers? Well, the biggest problem for most of us is getting the money to get going. So don't quit your job. Remember, that was step number one. Step number two is reread what I just said or re-listen to what I just said. Don't quit your job. You need to keep that job until you know you have enough money to take care of you and your family. Now remember, your family didn't want to be entrepreneurial. They just wanted to be married and have a nice family. All right, so don't forget, you're putting a lot of stress on them if you don't have money. So everybody doesn't have to go bankrupt here. If you go bankrupt, that's one thing, but don't drag everybody down into the pit with you. All right, entrepreneurs are known for having trouble. Why do they have trouble? Because they think they know all the answers. You don't know what you don't know. So you love to read stories about Stephen Jobs, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. That's 25 and 30 years later. Those writers tell you, oh, their burn rate was X and they were just ready to go into bankruptcy and suddenly they had a breakthrough. Well, that looks pretty good in an article or on a TV or on a story. But in the real world is, if you don't know where the money's coming from and you don't know how much money you're burning up every month, you're going to be in trouble fast. And when you get in trouble, how are you going to get back out? Do you have a plan B? If you don't have a plan B, you better start thinking of it. All right, now I've developed other businesses, and I don't have time in this particular video to tell you about it, but I'm going to tell you this. All right, I look for businesses that work today. If it's working today, I figure out a way to make it better, and I figure out a way to cut the risk, and I figure out a way to generate more profit. So I found a business 30 years ago. The business had been around for 200 years, and all it was a subset of real estate. Now, there's a lot of other videos on the channel that'll tell you about that subset, but I could buy real estate for 10 and 20 cents on the dollar, and I could sell it for whatever I want. So in other words, I could buy it low, and I could have some margin to resell it. Now, I didn't try to sell it for retail, simply because the business I was in was tax defaulted real estate. The properties were slightly used and abused. So I bought them low and I resold them low and I made good profits. All right, now there's a lot to learn about that business and there's a lot of videos on this channel that I talk about that. So I'll see you on one of those videos. Meanwhile, right below me, if you'd like to see an auction list, is my magic auction calendar. We'll show you how to get an auction list and we'll do that absolutely free. I'm Ted Thomas.